Good afternoon, everyone. This is Brian from Earth to Heart, and today I want to talk about doing some pickled cucumbers. Now, we're going to do something different than what you might normally do for pickled cucumbers. Instead of doing a more normal bread and butter or dill pickle, we're going to go Asian, or I guess more appropriately Hawaiian. So I am a huge fan of poke. If you're familiar with poke, that is usually raw tuna or another raw fish that's common in sushi, but it's usually into a larger dice instead of being sliced into sashimi. And then it's marinated and then served over rice or veg, and pickles and other things are really common. And so I really do love with some of our local poke places, and their pickled cucumbers are really great. So we're going to go and make a sort of my version of it, so similar to a Japanese style. And a little trick here for having crisp cucumbers is to put them in ice water. Like I said, I just put some ice water and then put it in the fridge and do that for about 24 hours. Overnight's fine, but that will really firm and crisp them up nicely. So we got 6 cucumbers here, poundish, maybe a little less, a little more. That's the nice thing with the garden is you pick what you got and you make, and it makes what it makes, rather than going to the grocery store and getting that exact amount. So our main ingredients, other than the cucumbers here, are going to be some rice vinegar, a little bit of tamari, that is a gluten-free soy sauce, so it's just soy. I'm going to use a little bit of mirin, which is a rice wine, and it's a little sweeter with a little salt. And then I got salt and some honey as well to sort of finish off the pickle. I got 2 jars here just to see how much we make. Another thing, so even if let's say you're doing pickle spears, you see the ends here. These ends you're going to want to cut off and discard, because these will release enzymes that will soften your pickles. And so by removing them, that will ensure that you have a crisper pickle. So, and for this one, I think I like them in sort of like nice, good, chunky half circles rather than your more standard chip here. So we're just going to cut these. I am no chef, so. And now today, because I have a smaller amount and not planning on this lasting very long, I'm just going to make a refrigerator pickle. And that's just no different than making a normal pickle, other than I'm just not going to water bath and can this, because again, I'm only going to probably make 2 jars here with what I got. So it's not really enough to do a big batch canning with. So, and we actually have a lot of pickles because we canned a bunch last year. So we don't really need a ton of pickles. It's just not something. And we both really like poke. We both eat it a lot, so we'll make here. Oh, I might need a 3rd can. Might have miscalculated, but we'll make it for 2. Alright, I'm going to do that one. Don't need that little bit. Chickens will like these. It's a great way to reuse them as well, or recycle as all those end bits. You can either compost them, or you can definitely give them to the chickens. Chickens, pigs, your other farm animals will happily enjoy these. I'm cutting these into probably about 1/2 inch of thickness instead of like something more standard, a 1/4 inch, though somewhere in between. So shouldn't have grabbed my pickle templer. I actually have a little pickle templer, but that's okay. Push you in. All right, for a little extra, nice thing here, I'll just eat them, or chickens will enjoy them. So that's nice and crisp. And again, when it's homemade, being a little inexact is not the end of the world. But you can absolutely adjust seasoning to taste and use the method that I'm using for any other recipe. So if you want to do a dill pickle recipe, this is more than an acceptable method to use for just using a refrigerator pickle. And in my experience, and I can refrigerator pickles will last quite a while, and I'll talk more about it at the end. But at the same point, there is nothing stopping you from turning this into a canned recipe. So if you would like to can this, like, I'm just gonna cut out that end here because I'm gonna have a little extra. Don't really need to save it. You're just gonna follow a normal recipe for canning. In terms of whatever size jars you are. For pints and half pints, generally about 10 minutes at a boil, and a water bath is more than enough processing time, and then they'll safely can. Now here, I'm also using something new. These are these leak proofs, because I have the other, I'm sure some of you use the little white plastic ones that I use a lot. They do leak. And so these are their leak-proof ones. I don't know if they're new or not, but I just saw them the other day. And for what I'm doing, these are perfect. And all that's going to go to the chickens. So now we're going to make the brine. All right. So we're going to do, I've mixed what's left, but basically we're going to have a cup of our rice wine vinegar. And then we're going to need to get another cup of water. So we got a cup of water. We're going to add that to the brine. Now I'm also going to add a tablespoon of salt to this. We're going to use a combination of the tamari, the soy sauce, and salt to create our pickle. I should use the other one. All right. Now for the rest of this, we're just going to add a tablespoon of soy sauce, tablespoon of mirin, and then we'll add 2 tablespoons of honey, and sugar and salt are really good and important in pickles because they are both preservatives and help keep away the bugs, so to speak. So that's 1 tablespoon. And 2. All right, try and get as much of that out. I'll give it a taste. Actually, so I've made some changes to this one. You could use 1 more tablespoon of honey. Add a little more. That's the thing with recipes. There's nothing wrong. I think with recipes, they're a great starting point. So whenever you start something, always then taste it. Like sometimes I like to just do the recipe as stated the first time, and then the second time is where I start playing with it. As long as it's acidic enough and salty enough, like really it's the acid that's your primary preserving agent here, especially when we're doing, these are going to go in the refrigerator, but if we were going to can these, it's the acidity that's keeping it nice and safe. Let me get a little taste. There we go. And now, I'll grab you back. We're just going to pour this over until these are submerged. All right. And since I'm doing refrigeration, I'm not worried about head space. So if you're going to be canning these, make sure that your head space is below that line. So I've overfilled this if I was to can it, but since these are just going to go in the refrigerator and we're going to eat them, I'm not really worried about that. But if you are going to can, remember your head space. And these bad boys are going to go in the fridge here. I would recommend, if you're doing refrigerator pickles, to give them some time to actually absorb that brine. Ideally, 4 to 5 days to about a week, week and a half is really ideal for making sure they fully absorb that brine, and you're going to get the most out of it. If you start eating them too quickly, I mean, they're cucumbers. Cucumbers are good. So, but they'll be just crispy, salty cucumbers instead of pickled cucumbers. So, hopefully you enjoy. And if you don't really like poke, you can at least give those a try and eat those with teriyaki or something else and sushi. And if you don't even like that, well, you can just use the same method to make refrigerator dill pickles. So, hope you enjoy and hope you all have a great day.